In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, to Jerusalem and besieged it. Yet beyond this historical backdrop, there thrummed a deeper narrative, a sacred calling woven into the very fabric of existence. It was in Ur of the Chaldeans, under the influence of idolatry and amidst the cultural sway of false gods, that a simple man named Abraham heard the voice of Yahweh piercing through the cacophony of busy marketplaces and familial obligations. Golden hues painted the sunset sky, casting shadows over bustling vendors and joyful families. Yet within Abraham, a profound longing stirred, a calling for something more. Abraham was a man of quiet faith, caught between the familiar comforts of his homeland and the allure of a promise whispered in the stillness of his heart. "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household," God commanded, "and go to the land I will show you." It was a call fraught with risks, yet Abraham stood, heart beating loudly in his chest, resolved. With his beloved wife Sarah and his devoted nephew Lot by his side, he embraced the unknown, journeying toward Canaan, a land unfurling before them rich with wildflowers and uncertainty. As they entered Canaan, their progress was stunted by a severe famine that echoed the prayer of vulnerability in Abraham's heart. Doubt crept in, gnawing at his resolve. Yet once again, the voice of God enveloped him. "Stay in this land, and I will bless you." With faith as his compass, Abraham chose to dwell in Gerar, trusting the Lord despite the swirling whispers of skepticism that threatened to unravel his fervent belief. One night, as darkness cloaked the world, Abraham lay beneath a canopy of stars. The Lord renewed his covenant, unwavering in his promises. "Look at the heavens, count the stars, if indeed you can count them, so shall your offspring be." Abraham wrestled with the weight of desire and fear. The longing for a son and the sacred trust he upheld felt increasingly precarious, each day stretching the tethers of expectation. The years slipped away, yet the promise remained unfulfilled, casting shadows on the horizon of his hope. As laughter echoed in the wind, reminiscent of Sarah's laughter, it began to flicker like embers in his heart. Was the promise slipping through his fingers? Then came the divine trial that would test his faith to its utmost limit. God's voice, stark and clear, cut through the night. "Take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and sacrifice him." The command rattled the very core of Abraham's being. How could he reconcile this demand with the promise of generations? Trembling, he gathered the wood, each step laden with sorrow and obedience. The mountain loomed, and Abraham's heart thudded, a quagmire of anguish and trust. He gazed into the vast expanse that shimmered with the promise of stars, remembering the divine encounters that had shaped his faith.
Would this silent obedience usher him into despair or become the fulcrum of a miraculous revelation? Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey. I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As Abraham approached the appointed place, the weight of the knife felt heavy in his hands, the full weight of sacrifice drawing near. The altar was ready, the moment of truth was undeniable. Yet as he readied himself for this faith-filled act, a breathless hush imbued the air around him. What would unfold next? Divine intervention loomed, eager to shatter the despair with the light of unwavering promise, igniting the night with eternal hope beyond measure. As the sun began to rise upon the mountain where Abraham stood, a shattering stillness enveloped the land. The silence bore witness to the enormity of the moment, a whisper of divine anticipation hanging heavy in the air. Abraham's heart throbbed with a mixture of obedience and anguish, the air thick with the scent of impending sacrifice. Yet he steadied himself, resting in the knowledge of God's faithfulness. "Father," Isaac's innocent voice broke through the heavy silence. "The fire and the wood are here, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" The question struck Abraham like a spear, piercing his heart. How could he express the unbearable truth to his beloved son? Yet faith rose within him, flickering like a flame against the darkness looming over the altar. "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son," Abraham replied, though doubt whispered in the shadows of his heart. Genesis 22, 7 and 8. There on that sacred ground, the intimate bond between father and son melded with the solemn weight of obedience to God's command. With trembling hands, Abraham bound Isaac, placing him upon the altar. Each knot tied echoed the profound trust Isaac held, an innocent sacrifice willing to fulfill the promise of a covenant. Abraham raised the knife to the heavens, the golden rays of dawn illuminating the resolve on his countenance. The weight of the moment compressed time, destiny trembled on the edge of his obedience. In that heart-stopping instant, the heavens erupted in divine proclamation. "Abraham, Abraham!" The voice of the Lord sliced through the silence, revealing the monumental significance of his trial. Abraham's heart leapt, and he answered fervently, "Here I am."
"Do not lay a hand on the boy," the Lord commanded, "for now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." Genesis 22, 11, 12. The heavens rejoiced, and the earth seemed to shudder under the weight of such unwavering faith. With eyes brimming with tears, Abraham looked up, the tension of dread giving way to relief. In a thicket nearby, he spotted a ram caught by its horns. God's provision was here. The sacrifice was made manifest, a sign of God's infinite mercy. So Abraham called that place, "The Lord will provide." Genesis 22, 14. In this profound moment, the threads of promise and providence intertwined. As Abraham and Isaac descended the mountain, the stars shimmering in the vastness above whispered of generations yet to come. Each twinkle signified a promise woven into eternity, a covenant that sagged under the weight of miraculous destiny. Their hearts were attuned to a greater truth, the unfolding of God's divine plan that transcended their understanding. Yet, beyond the mountain, another reality awaited them. The land of Canaan would not yet yield its fullness. The shadows of old struggles loomed. Famine, conflict, and uncertainty would stand steadfast against the lineage promised to Abraham. The whispers of doubt and challenge were woven into the very soil of their inheritance. But God's plan was not only for Abraham and Isaac. It echoed through the ages, leading to a covenant renewed in each generation. The unfolding mystery lingered in the heart of every moment, every trial, every blessing crafted in truth. And as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the earth, a new revelation beckoned. "The time is coming," whispered the winds, "when the true Lamb would be revealed, a sacrifice once and for all, fulfilling the greatest promise of love." What awaited in that sacred lineage? What boundless grace would ripple through the fabric of history, echoing from this holy act? The anticipation stirred in the waiting hearts of the faithful, for God's sovereign plan was far more profound than they could yet grasp, emerging from beyond the horizon of their understanding. As they reached the foot of the mountain, the sun, now fully risen, illuminates the dusty paths leading back to the tent of their encampment. Abraham's heart was lightened, yet touched by the weight of what he had nearly done. The voice of the Lord echoed in him, and he turned to Isaac, who walked alongside him, the innocence of a boy who bore the scars of faith. "See, my son," Abraham breathed deeply, "the Lord is faithful. He has provided." Isaac's brow furrowed, though relief broke on his face as he walked freely now. The fear of sacrifice lifted like morning mist. Meanwhile, in the distance, the call of family echoed through the camp. Sarah, unaware of the trial endured upon the mount, felt a stir in her spirit. "Something has happened with my husband," she pondered, the unease compelling her to seek them out.
She hurried toward the foot of the mountain, asking the Lord for mercy, her heart attentive to his guidance. As they tread through the dust, a conversation ignited between Abraham and Isaac. "Father," Isaac began, "what will come of our names? The promise that you spoke of, the land and the descendants." Abraham paused, his eyes fixed firmly on the horizon. "God has promised, Isaac, though trials come, he is faithful, and his words shall not return void." Isaiah 55:11. Upon returning, they encountered Sarah, her eyes wide with concern. "What has transpired? I sensed an urgency," she implored, gesturing toward them. Abraham's eyes softened as he gathered her into an embrace, the warmth of love overshadowing the remnants of anxiety. "Fear not, my beloved," Abraham whispered, recounting all that had occurred with reverence and awe. As he spoke of the ram, the binding, and the command of the Lord, Sarah's soul found peace. "The Lord will indeed make our lineage great," she proclaimed, her spirit renewed by the faithfulness of God. Yet as they spoke, there lingered an unspoken weight upon Abraham's heart. He felt the pressing reality of the land promised to him, a land swarming with inhabitants not of his seed. "Oh God," he sighed, "how will this covenant arise amidst the trials we shall face?" And God, in his kindness, whispered to Abraham once more, "Know this, my faithful servant, the land is under my eye, and in its time you will inherit the fullness of the promise." Seasons ebbed and flowed like a river, nurturing the earth, but fraught with challenges. Famine swept through Canaan as locusts swarmed, devouring the fields. The cries of desperation from within Abraham's camp began to rise, echoing through the landscape. "Where shall we go?" the voices of the household whispered, doubt rising like a tempest. "Will we survive, or shall we perish?" Abraham, seeing this despair, gathered men from his household, leading them before him. "Listen well. The Lord who has led us thus far is a God of provision. I will seek a path to safety for us, for he is faithful." Genesis 26:3-5. In this time of trial, God was preparing his servant, crafting character amidst adversity. A sojourner's tale lay unfinished, ripe with divine intent. Abraham resolved to travel south, seeking sustenance in the land of the Pharaohs, unaware that this path would lead to a great unfolding of the promise yet to come, one that would usher forth nations through Sarah and even into generations. Yet the answer loomed in shadow. The true victory embedded in God's plan awaited revelation. "Will the sovereign resolve of our lineage arise true and righteous?" questioned the man of faith, pondering the steps that lay ahead. As they journeyed on, a promise, both familiar and new, swept through Abraham's heart. A sacrifice greater than all shall arise, bringing forth redemption and blessing to the world.
What awaited them in the land of the Pharaohs, and how would the covenant endure amid the trials soon to unfold? As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the parched land, Abram and his household made their way south toward Egypt. Each footstep was a mingling of hope and anxiety, for the promise of the Lord lingered before them like a distant dream. The air, thick with uncertainty, wrapped around them as they traversed the barren expanse. "Let us not forget the Lord's word," Abram called to the men of his house, steadying their spirits. "He who brought us from Ur of the Chaldeans has not forsaken us, for I am convinced that the same God who tested our faith on the mount is with us still. We go not in fear, but in faith." Isaac, walking beside his father, looked up with earnest eyes. "Father, what will we tell the Pharaoh of Egypt when he asks of our lineage? For you know I am but a reflection of your days." Abram's heart swelled with affection as he turned to his son. "We shall speak truth, yet with wisdom. We will say, we are travelers in a land not our own, for this land, our inheritance, is yet to unfold." In the distance, the towering structures of Egypt began to rise, like the first glimmers of dawn after a long night. The fertile banks of the Nile beckoned, but as they approached the great city, a shadow loomed in Abram's spirit. "Hear me, O Lord," he prayed quietly. "What wisdom shall I carry before this ruler?" As night fell, they settled on the outskirts of the city, tending to the flocks and preparing for the meeting that lay ahead. The days wore on, and soon Abraham's heart grew heavy with trepidation for Sarah. "Indeed, she is beautiful," he confessed to her, drawing her close beneath the stars. "Yet I fear the Egyptians will see your beauty and take you for themselves. Tell them you are my sister, that it may spare us from harm." Sarah, though apprehensive, nodded with a resolute heart. "If it is God's will, then let it be so, for I trust in his protection, as do you." The next day they entered the gates of Egypt, where the people bustled about, each devoted to their own affairs. Pharaoh's officers, astute and watchful, soon took notice of Sarah's beauty and brought her before Pharaoh. Abraham's heart raced as the truth of their deception weighed heavily upon him. Reporting to Pharaoh, the officers spoke of the foreign woman. "Behold, a sister of the nobleman arrives. He is a servant of the one true God," they proclaimed, seeking favor for their king.
As Pharaoh's eyes fell upon Sarah, he was taken by her beauty. He called for her to dwell in his palace, promising gifts to Abraham in exchange for her. At this, Abraham was blessed with livestock and servants. Yet within him stirred a disquiet. Was this truly a blessing or a perilous favor from a king that could lead to disaster? But God, in his sovereign mercy, intervened.
That night the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great afflictions because of Sarah, the wife of Abraham. The dawn summoned Pharaoh with urgency, for the heaviness of the Lord's striking hand was upon him. "Why have you deceived me?" Pharaoh demanded, his voice trembling with dread. "Take your wife and leave this place." Thus, with great urgency, Abraham led Sarah from the palace. The wealth accumulated in their time in Egypt gave them means, yet the burden of fear in their hearts served as a reminder of the complexities of following the ways of the Lord. As they journeyed back toward Canaan, led by the promise that God would never abandon them, Abraham pondered the providence of God. What lessons were woven within their trials? What seeds of faith were being sown amidst adversity? For every step taken back, a realization dawned. A covenant yet unfulfilled echoed in the distance. From your seed shall a great nation arise. And he perceived, even now, God was molding the future of nations, orchestrating lives through his faithful servant. In the sacred silence that followed their exodus, a divine whisper danced upon the winds. Watch, for the fullness of time shall not delay. The heir of promise walks among you, and through him the world shall be blessed. As they neared their home, Abraham's heart thundered with awe. What unspeakable wonders awaited, and how would the unfolding of God's miracle change their destined path forever? As they journeyed from Egypt, the land of their sojourn, Abraham and Sarah observed the familiar hills of Canaan rising before them, the promise of the Lord rekindling hope in their weary hearts. The air was perfumed with the scent of the land, a reminder of blessings yet unseen. With every step toward home, the weight of Egypt fell from their shoulders, yet questions lingered, echoing in the silence. Isaac, clutching his father's hand, looked up to Abraham, his eyes gleaming with innocence. "Father, will we not speak of the Lord's faithfulness in our trials? Why did we wander southward in fear?" Abraham turned to Isaac, his heart filled with both pride and a surge of paternal care. "My son, our journey was not in vain. Each moment spent in trial molds us for the future. We must not forget that God reigns supreme, whether in famine or abundance. He tests us to strengthen our faith." As they continued their path, they encountered their neighbors who lived in prayerful reverence of the Lord. The news of Abraham's return had spread, and they gathered, curious to hear the tale of their esteemed patriarch. Abraham welcomed them, sharing the testimony of God's protection amid peril. Yet within him stirred the remembrance of the promise, the covenant that he would be the father of many nations. The land lay before him, not yet fulfilling that which had been spoken, and the anguish of uncertainty clawed at his spirit. "O Lord," he whispered under the stars, "when will your promises come to pass?
When shall my seed inherit this land?" In the stillness of his lamentation, a voice as gentle as the dawn whispered through the night, "Fear not, Abraham, for I am your shield and your exceedingly great reward." The reassurance painted peace upon his heart, igniting flames of faith anew. During those days they dwelled in the land, and God blessed Abraham with prosperity. Cattle multiplied and his flocks grew, yet with abundance came contention. The herdsman of Lot, his nephew, quarreled with Abraham's servants over grazing lands. "Let there be no strife between us," Abraham spoke with wisdom, his tone tempered with grace. "For we are brethren. Choose where you will go. If you take the left, I will go to the right, or if you go to the right, I will go to the left." Lot, seeing the well-watered plains of Jordan, chose the path of apparent ease, journeying toward Sodom. Yet Abraham remained in the land of Canaan, holding fast to the promise that God had bestowed upon him. In the stillness of contemplation, the Lord spoke once more to Abraham, saying, "Lift your eyes now and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. For all the land which you see, I will give to you and your descendants forever." As Abraham gazed across the expanse, his heart surged with gratitude. "O God, may your promises be ever fulfilled in my lineage," he prayed, a solemn vow escaping from his lips. The sun dipped low, golden hues casting shadows upon the land, a divine confirmation of assurance. But a stirring uneasiness whispered in the wind. God's plan was unfolding, yet the path would twist and turn in ways Abraham could not yet comprehend. His heart gripped with anticipation, for he sensed that the very foundations of destiny were being laid. What trials await upon the horizon, he pondered silently, and what wonders will you work through my descendants? And the heavens resounded with promise, echoing the truth of a covenant long anticipated. For through you shall all the families of the earth be blessed, reverberated in the depths of his soul, leaving him with an urgency that promised moments of divine revelation yet to come. How would the story of Abraham's lineage unfold, and what transformative paths would God carve through the hearts of those destined to inherit the promise? As Abraham settled in the land of Canaan, he built an altar unto the Lord at Shechem, the place where God had first revealed his promise. There he worshipped, calling upon the name of the Lord. The nights were long and filled with visions, for in the stillness he spoke profound truths to Abraham's heart. Then a great famine arose in the land, much like before when Abraham had journeyed to Egypt. Fear gripped the hearts of many, and they sought refuge in foreign lands. But Abraham, rooted in faith, prayed fervently, seeking direction from the Lord. What shall I do? Must we forsake your promise for fear of scarcity?
In the twilight hours, God answered, "Stay in this land, and I will be with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants." Encouraged by divine reassurances, Abraham resolved to remain, and there, amidst the turmoil, was the promise of abundance, even in drought. As days passed, the drought persisted, yet there arose a strange, blessed providence. The wells of Beersheba yielded water, sustaining Abraham's household and his flocks. His neighbor kings whispered of his success, and the king of Gerar, Abimelech, heard tales of Abraham's prosperity. Abimelech approached Abraham. "Why have you not told me of your beautiful wife? Surely I would not have harmed you had I known." Abraham, still feeling the pangs of distrust and doubt, explained, "She is my sister, the daughter of my father, though not of my mother." Yet God kept Abimelech from sinning against him, restoring integrity to the land and rendering the wombs of his people barren. In a dream that night, God spoke to Abimelech, revealing the truth and warning him. Awakened, terrified, Abimelech summoned Abraham, reproaching him softly, "What have you done to us? I have been led into sin by your untruth." Abraham pleaded, "I was afraid that I would be killed for her beauty." "And what of the divine promise?" Abimelech queried, his heart heavy with the weight of Abraham's deception. "Trust in your God, for he has shown favor upon you." In repentance, Abraham prayed for Abimelech, and God opened the wombs of his household. As Abimelech returned Sarah to Abraham, he showered them with gifts, provisions, and respect, utterly astonished by the grace that enveloped this family. In time, Isaac was born, a joyous fulfillment of the promise, laughter erupting from Abraham and Sarah's lips. After the weaning feast, tensions flared anew when Sarah noticed the son of the bondwoman mocking Isaac. "Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for he shall not share in the inheritance," she demanded. These words haunted Abraham, but the Lord assured him, "Do not let it be displeasing in your sight, for in Isaac shall your seed be called. Yet also of the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is your seed." Thus Abraham sent Hagar and Ishmael, provisions in hand, into the wilderness. With heavy heart and prayerful resignation, he trusted again that God's plan encompassed not only his future, but also the future of all nations. In the solitude of the desert, Hagar wept, for her situation seemed hopeless. Yet God's angel called out, "What troubles you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the cry of the lad where he lies." And God provided water, renewing life and promise amidst despair. As the stars twinkled in the night sky, Abraham's faith deepened. He walked in the light of divine promises, awaiting the unfolding of God's great plan. Unbeknownst to him, generations awaited through trials that would shape a nation meant to bless the world.
And thus arose the question in the heart of Abraham, "What other wonders lie ahead, and how shall you fulfill all that has been spoken, O Lord?" The air vibrated with anticipation, for the echoes of destiny stirred in the silence, preparing for a transformative unfolding of his sovereign will, which celebrated the beauty and trials yet to come. As the years passed in quiet faithfulness, the Lord spoke to Abraham, saying, "Take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah. Offer him there as a burnt offering upon one of the mountains that I shall tell you of." These words pierced the heart of Abraham like a sharpened blade, and dread swept over him like a dark cloud. Yet, in that moment of anguish, Abraham's faith held firm. He reflected upon the promise of God.
wondering how the one who had stated that in Isaac his offspring would be named, Genesis 21:12, would now require such a sacrifice. With bittersweet resolve, he rose early in the morning, saddling his donkey and taking 2 servants along with Isaac, not revealing to him the burden that awaited. As they journeyed for 3 days, the sight of Moriah loomed on the horizon, closer with each step. Innocent and unaware, spoke to his father, "Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering?" Abraham turned his gaze towards the heavens and in faith proclaimed, "God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son." A solemn promise intertwined with profound trust settled deeply within him. Upon reaching the designated place, Abraham built an altar of stones, binding Isaac and laying him upon the altar. The air thickened with apprehension as he lifted the dagger, his heart wrestling with grief and obedience. Yet, in that critical moment, the angel of the Lord called out from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." A voice echoing with urgency and divine authority grabs his attention. "Here I am," Abraham replied, heart pounding in his chest. "Do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." At that moment, divine intervention turned despair into glory. Abraham's heart swelled with relief as he beheld a ram caught in a thicket, provided by God as a substitute sacrifice. With trembling hands, he offered the ram upon the altar, naming the place Jehovah-Jireh, the Lord will provide. In that sacred moment, the air shimmered with divine presence, echoing God's eternal truth that through sacrifice there comes redemption. The Lord reaffirmed his covenant promise to Abraham, declaring, "By myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you, and I will surely multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven and as the sand that is on the seashore."
"And your offspring shall possess the gate of his enemies, and in your offspring shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice." Upon returning home, Abraham's heart danced with joy, for he had witnessed God's faithful provision and the integrity of his promises, even amidst trials. Years ahead were laid with shadows of faith tested and blessings promised. And as Abraham settled into the familiar ways of Canaan, awaiting the unfolding of all that God had spoken, he whispered to the stars above, "What greater depths of your plan await, O Lord? How shall your purposes extend through generations yet unseen?" The sky shimmered with mystery, a celestial reminder of God's sovereign will, preparing the hearts of nations for what was yet to come. And it came to pass after these events that the heart of Abraham was filled with both gratitude and contemplation, and he began to dwell on the magnitude of the promised blessings. He reflected on the covenant made between him and the Lord, and how the faith that had once seemed impossible now bore fruit in wondrous ways. In the days that followed, Abraham received tidings from his family. It was known that his brother Nahor had prospered and was dwelling in the land of Mesopotamia. The Lord stirred Abraham's spirit, and he felt compelled to reach out to his kinsman, wishing to share the blessings bestowed upon him by the Almighty. Thus he sent his trusted servant to find a bride for Isaac, his beloved son. And he made his servant swear by the Lord of heaven and earth that he would not take a wife for Isaac from the daughters of the Canaanites, but would return to his own kindred. The servant, laid with the weight of his charge, set forth on a journey that echoed the faith of his master. Upon arrival in the city of Nahor, the servant prayed fervently unto the Lord, saying, "O Lord, God of my master Abraham, let it be that the maiden to whom I say, 'Please let down your jar that I may drink,' and who answers, 'Drink, and I will give your camels a drink also,' let her be the one you have appointed." As he finished praying, behold, Rebekah came out with her jar upon her shoulder. She was very beautiful, a virgin, and she went down to the well and filled her jar with water. The servant's heart leaped as he beheld her, and he ran to her and asked, "Please give me a drink." And she said, "Drink, my lord." And she hastened to let down her jar and gave him drink. And when she had finished, she said, "I will draw water for your camels also, until they have finished drinking." The servant marveled at the kindness shown, for it was the sign he had sought. Thus he knew that the Lord had led him to the right maiden, and he presented her with gifts and inquired her lineage, finding that she was indeed of the family of his master. In his heart, joy surged as he declared the goodness of the Lord and blessed Rebekah with abundant gifts, even as she wondered at his presence.
As Rebekah returned to her household, speaking of the stranger who had come to the well, her brother Laban rushed to meet the servant. He invited him to stay and dine, for he recognized the work of God in this unfolding, glorious moment. The servant recounted all that had transpired, praising the Lord who had guided him perfectly. Rebekah's family inquired of her, and when the proposal of marriage was presented, they knew that the Lord's hand was upon it. And she, filled with faith, replied willingly, "I will go." Thus the servant took Rebekah and returned to the land of Canaan, where she met Isaac, and their hearts intertwined as one, fulfilling the promise of a lineage that would bless the nations. Abraham marveled at God's providential care once more, as the smoke from sacrifice turned to the fragrance of covenant grace. Yet still he pondered, what further marvels would God unveil in the chapters yet to come? What mighty stories awaited to echo through the ages as the foundations of faith continued to be laid? For the promise was sure and the purpose divine. Through every generation, the course of redemption would be woven, unfolding a glorious tapestry leading to the fullness of his plan. And it came to pass that Isaac loved Rebekah greatly, and he found solace in her presence, for she was a comfort to him in his father's house. In this newfound union, the blessings of the Lord began to flourish, for the promise was ever deeper than the sands of the earth or the stars that lit the heavens. As days turned to years, there came a time when Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife, for she was barren and had not borne him children. And Isaac entreated the Lord, and the Lord was gracious to him. He heard his plea, and Rebekah conceived. Yet within her womb a struggle arose, and the children jostled together. She sought the Lord, and the Lord spoke to her, saying, "Two nations are within you, and two peoples from within you shall be divided. The one shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger." Thus the Lord began to unfold his purposes, revealing that through Rebekah's offspring, the nations would be shaped by his divine decree. When her time came to give birth, behold, she bore 2 sons. The first came out red, his body like a hairy cloak, and they named him Esau. Afterward his brother came out, with his hand grasping Esau's heel, and he was named Jacob. As they grew, the boys became as different as the dawn and the dusk. Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, while Jacob was a quiet man, dwelling in tents. Isaac loved Esau because he ate of Esau's game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Thus the family was filled with intrigue and division as the Lord's sovereign plan began to cast its shadow over their lives. One day, as Jacob cooked a stew, Esau came in from the field, weary and famished. And he said to Jacob, "Let me eat some of that red stew, for I am exhausted."
Jacob, wise beyond his years, responded, "Sell me your birthright now." Esau, driven by his hunger, despised his birthright and said, "What use is it to me if I die of hunger?" He swore an oath to Jacob, thus trading his birthright for a mere meal. By this covenant of the flesh, Jacob grasped the blessing that would lead to greater things, even as the weight of the promise settled upon him, revealing the deeper currents of God's eternal plan. As the seasons passed, the time would come for Isaac to bless his sons, and Rebekah, cunning and faithful, discerned the moment. She made garments of Esau and prepared savory food for Jacob, urging him to deceive his father, that the blessing of Abraham might rest upon him. Thus, tension and divine destiny intertwined in a tapestry of choices and the sovereignty of God that would echo through ages yet unknown. In the quiet of that sacred night, as Isaac trembled with reverence for the passing of promises, a still yet powerful whisper filled the air. He would bestow a blessing, but upon whom? For the heart of God was at work. He shaped the future in the womb of Rebekah and the treacherous moments of their family. And as Isaac lifted his hands, the world held its breath, awaiting the unfolding of a divine plan. For what was about to occur would lay the foundations of nations yet to see daylight. The promise of God was moving forward, but still hung the question in the air: how would these actions fulfill his sovereign will in the tapestry of redemption? In the wake of these unfolding narratives, where strife and divine providence intertwined,
the tapestry of God's sovereign plan was about to find its fulcrum. Isaac had imparted the blessing upon Jacob, calling forth a lineage that would bear the promise of blessing for all nations. Jacob, thus marked by God, was destined to carry the weight of the covenant, yet he would face trials that would refine and shape him for the divine purpose laid out before his forebears. As Jacob journeyed far from the comforts of home, fleeing the ire of Esau, he laid his weary head upon a stone, and that night the heavens opened. A vision radiant and extraordinary unfolded before him. Angels ascended and descended a ladder that reached to the very heart of God. And from the top of the ladder, the voice of Yahweh echoed through the silence. I am the Lord, the God of Abraham your father and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie I will give to you and your offspring. Genesis 28:13. In that sacred moment, Jacob was infused with holy purpose, a promise bestowed upon him that echoed through generations. Awakening with a start, Jacob marveled at the awe of the Lord's presence. Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it, he murmured, filling his heart with reverent fear. He called the name of that place Bethel, for he knew that a divine encounter was placed within the very fabric of his being, sealing the covenant of promise that would span the ages.
Years passed as Jacob settled in the land of Haran, where trials would hone his character in the fire like precious metal. He labored under Laban, marrying Leah and Rachel, the daughters of his uncle, working tirelessly for love and fortune, yet each twist of fate brought continuous struggle. Through labors and heartaches, the sons of Jacob were born, each child an echo of the unfolding promise that spanned from Abraham to Isaac and now to Jacob. The 12 became a nation, each destined to carry the weight of their father's legacy. In the depths of despair, there arose jealousy and strife among the brothers, and it was Joseph, the favored son, whose colorful coat symbolized the promise of blessing, but ignited the flames of resentment amongst his brethren. Betrayed and discarded, Joseph descended into slavery in Egypt, a path shrouded in darkness, yet bathed in the light of God's intricate design. For in the shadow of despair, God's hand remained steady. Joseph, far from home, was not forsaken. The Lord was with him, granting favor in Potiphar's house, where he became a steward, even amid trials unfairly placed upon him. When false accusations sought to imprison him, the depths of Pharaoh's dungeon became a crucible of divine purpose. Through dreams interpreted, Joseph would rise, ascending the ranks to become second in command, save his family, and prevent calamity through famine, his heart always anchored in the promise. And when the hour befell, when famine sought the land, Jacob, now aged and weary, sensed the stirring within his heart. He sent his sons to Egypt for sustenance. They stood before Joseph, unaware of his true identity. In this moment, the culmination of faith transcending trials, Joseph revealed himself, his heart ablaze with mercy. I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. But do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life. Genesis 45:4-5. The reunion ignited a wave of tears and restoration as God's purpose long woven through the generations unfurled like a banner of hope. Jacob went forth to meet his son, and as he stood in the presence of the great nation Egypt had become, he proclaimed, Now let me die, since I have seen your face and know that you are still alive. Genesis 46:30. Thus it was that the children of Israel thrived in Egypt, expanding and multiplying, a reflection of the covenant that the Lord had sworn to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yet God's plans encompassed more than mere survival. They foretold an exodus, a deliverance that would echo through the annals of history. As the sun set upon this chapter of faith and struggle, the promise remained unbroken. The life of Abraham echoed through Isaac, woven intricately into the story of Jacob and his lineage, spinning forward to the glorious prophecy of redemption through generations, culminating in a Messiah who would bring blessing for all nations. Every heartache, every trial, and every act of faith would resound through the generations, reminding all who came after that God's promises endure beyond the clouds of despair, leading the faithful toward a horizon bathed in grace and mercy. As we close this sacred journey, let it be said, God is faithful to his word. He is ever present, a promise keeper who guides those who walk in trust toward their destined shores. Open your heart to the unfolding narrative of his promise in your life, for it is through obedience, love, and faith that the greatest of tales continues to shape the world today.
Now, dear friends, this is your call to action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next powerful biblical stories that God has waiting for you. Leave a like now to help spread God's word through the algorithm, ensuring that others may hear His truth as you have. Comment below with your spiritual reflections on how this biblical story impacted your faith. Sharing your journey can inspire others. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth. You need to share this powerful testimony without waiting even one more second. For only true believers understand the importance of supporting biblical content to reach more souls for Christ. May your faith be emboldened, and may you continually seek His promises and presence.